structure within the brain.
Open your eyes.
Time Stone, and we see Strange use it throughout Multiverse of Madness. When Doctor Strange uses the Eye of Agamotto in the comics, a third eye usually appears on his forehead, just like the third eye seen in Multiverse of Madness. You can make the argument that Sinister Strange's third eye was more about Darkhold corruption, but when it comes to the main MCU Stephen Strange, this is a sign he's powering up.
Where it sits directly between the diencephalon in the cave, or underneath the fornix in the third ventricle, which is that hollow opening at the top of the mountain, at the top of the apex of the holy pillar of the pyramid. And so again, you are literally sitting on the throne of God, which I will be going much deeper into this in future presentations, but literally sits upon this bone here, which is atop the sphenoid bone, called the sella turcica, which literally means is Latin for the Turkish saddle, or the Turkish seat. It is literally the mercy seat of the Most High, of the Holy of Holies within the Temple of Solomon. It is literally the seat of God. It is the throne. It is the chariot of God, and we will be exploring that in so much more depth in future presentations. I don't want to give it all away yet.
Other bones become more visible only when looking inside the skull. The sphenoid bone makes up the anterior base of the cranium. It is a butterfly-shaped bone with a central body and two pair of laterally projecting wings. These wings form portions of the orbit. The body of the sphenoid features a depression known as the sella turcica, which houses the pituitary gland. Located between the orbits, the ethmoid bone makes up a portion of the cranial floor and also the roof of the nasal cavity. An inferior projection, the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, forms part of the nasal septum. The crista galli projects superiorly from the ethmoid bone and serves as the attachment point for the falx cerebri, a dural fold. Extending laterally from the crista galli is the cribriform plate, a perforated area through which the olfactory nerves pass. The two L-shaped palatine bones form the posterior third of the hard palate, part of the nasal cavity, and a portion of the orbit. The small, thin lacrimal bones make up the anterior portion of the medial wall of each orbit. A groove known as the lacrimal groove helps to form the nasolacrimal canal, which contains a duct that allows tears to travel to the nasal cavity. The vomer is an elongated, plow-shaped bone that forms the inferior and posterior part of the nasal septum. The internal and external skull bones articulate precisely, forming an intricate structure perfectly suited to its functions.
So now we're going to have to come full circle back to the Symbols of Power Part 2, Part 1, and the Part 3 films, where all of which I covered the previous esoteric anatomy regarding the conquering or the taming or the subduing of the serpent, and the serpent energy and the kundalini energy and the human physiology of overcoming the lower basal nature, which is serpentine at its essence, and how the human physiology itself is serpentine, is capitulate of a serpentine nature from the serpentine spinal column of all vertebrates to the central nervous system, including how I've discovered that sphenoid bone in the spinal column itself is reminiscent of the dragon within, as well as the inner dragon of the cerebrospinal fluid system, of how the central cerebrospinal canal resembles what I like to think of as a water dragon, in other words, a water serpent, a sea serpent, which leads us to the hero's journey of all mythology, revolves entirely around taming or how to train your dragon. So in some mythologies and legend, it refers to slaying or conquering the dragon, when the truth is the dragon represents our most powerful primal essence, our most powerful subconscious nature, which needs to be harnessed and utilized as depicted in Game of Thrones, the mother of dragons, the dragon mother. And again, as I fully covered back in Symbols of Power Part 3, as well as Part 2, I covered the whole mythology of the serpent dragon monster of the deep abyss, of the chaos monster, the female dragon mother, the mother of dragons, which goes back to ancient myth of Marduk slaying Tiamat. And Tiamat was the chaos serpent monster of the deep abyss, which is exactly what they're depicting in Aquaman, just a rehash and retelling of Neptune, Marduk, conquering Tiamat, of the mother of the abysmal chaos, and he slays her, and he's wielding the weapon of the Vajra, or the lightning bolt of the gods. In other words, the Sai. It's a three-pronged weapon, which then became the Hindu Trishula of Shiva, who is also tames or conquers the serpent, the lower nature, and who also wields the trident, which I call it the Sident, because the Sident comes from the ancient Greek letter psi, which literally means a form of psychic energy, which is why Aquaman wields the trident of King Atlan, and when he becomes the king and he takes the throne, his rightful place upon the throne, which is located where? Directly between the eyes of the great serpent monster of the abyss, between the eyes of the great dragon, which is literally where the Sella Turcica is in the human skull, on the sphenoid bone. It's symbolically depicting the actual chariot or the throne of God, the dragon throne. The And so this is why, again, Marduk slayed Tiamat with the Trident, and this is why Aquaman carries the Trident, and he conquers Tiamat, the Chaos Dragon monster of the Abyss. Then he gains his psychic power, and he commands the power of the seven seas after uniting the seven, which is representative symbolically of the esoteric nature of ascending the throne of the Kundalini rising, of the harnessing of the ascended mastery, of the seven chakras, of the seven energy centers, uniting the seven. And seven is related to Hindu Shiva. Shiva is the Lord of Seven. In Hebrew, it's known as Shivan, or sitting Shiva. And so again, Shiva is the Lord he is the Lord of chaos. He is the controller of the chaotic nature, and this is symbolized by wrapping the serpent around his neck. And this is exactly why in Game of Thrones, the king, the true king, ascends to the true heir to the throne, ascends to the throne by slaying the Chaos Dragon Queen, the chaos monster of evil of the chaos of the abyss. And then what does he slay her with? He slays her with the Trident, with the scythe, the three-pronged weapon, and nobody has any clue of the symbolism that was here. It's all here. The dragon throne, the true heir, the true king, the true heir to the throne, slaying the dragon monster of the abysmal chaos. It's all here. I've decoded the whole thing. It's perfect. And this is exactly why the Trident or the Trident is symbolic of the human brain, as well as it's in Hinduism, it's known as the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, the Holy Trinity united of the central nervous system. And I've discovered how Aquaman's Trident is literally exactly the same representation of the human brain, central nervous system, and the spinal column, complete with the little sacrum at the very base of the Trident or the Trident. And this is why they symbolically depict him holding the Trident directly over his face, where the psi is presented in the brain. And as he emits his psychic power and commands over the seven waters, the seven seas. He recruits the great serpent dragon monster of the abyss to do his bidding, because he conquers the lower nature and utilizes his psychic potential, riding on the dragon throne. And this is where we get the myth or the story of this is the true secret and the meaning of the Chariot of the Gods. It's not referring to aliens or UFOs, it's referring to the inner potential of the enlightened physiology. It's referring to the Most High, the Chariot or the throne of God within us, within our consciousness, our own physiology, our own psychic potential. The king, or another, the Sun King, the Solar King, the hero of Heru, rides the eagle or the winged serpent. The serpent represents the lower nature, whereas it sprouts wings, becomes the feathered serpent, and it takes flight as the higher nature. And by taming our lower nature, that's how we train our dragon and utilize and harness our core primal basal potential and reach and soar into the heights of heaven, or the heights of higher consciousness, higher awareness, represented by the phoenix, the eagle, the falcon, as Horus or Heru is the hero, comes from Hor or Har or Haru or Horu or Heru, meaning the high flying one.
To be afraid to fly!
But so this is the exact center point of where the 6-axis comes to a crux, comes to a head, is directly at that central axis, directly upon the seat, the Cella Turcica, the throne of God, which is where the pituitary gland sits. The pituitary gland literally rests upon the Turkish saddle.
Hello everyone, my name is Cullen Smith. I'm a published author. Today I would like to introduce you all to my brand new published book, The Hive Mind Invasion of Civilization, a compendium of esoteric science, symbolism, and universal secrets. If you'd like to purchase this book, you can head over to my brand new website that I've set up. It's still very bare bones. There's a lot of work I need to do on the site, but for now it's got the basic things that I need on there until I upload all of my content. You can sign up for the newsletter to receive email updates on all of my posts as I begin to populate the site with all of my archives of articles, books, videos, and films and courses and all of that good stuff. So you'll get notifications as I begin to populate the website with all of my content on it. So that's a good reason to sign up right now, even though there's no content on it yet. But you can pick up my books there. I've got my Hive Mind book. I've also got a couple other titles to help expand and explore your own creativity and things of that nature. So these make great gifts for any friends, beloved family, any loved ones. So these are great gifts that you can pick up and also support Lifting the Veil and the work that I do in the process. So feel free and head on over to my brand new website, liftingtheveil.tv, and I will see all of you there. All right, have a great day. Thank you. My name is Cullen Smith. This is Lifting the Veil. You can find all of my full books, presentations, videos, films, articles, posts at subscribestar.com/liftingtheveil. Patreon has suspended this work and my account and income stream for this content. So if you are a supporting patron, then please I ask you to move your support over to subscribestar.com/liftingtheveil. And I have just established a completely free, uncensored, totally free speech social media platform that replaces Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, every other platform all in one on liftingtheveil.locals.com. You can download the Locals app and you can join our group and have totally free speech and totally uncensored, unrestricted content access. And there is also a ton of exclusive content, and I will leave the cited reference links in the description down below. And, leave me your comments. I definitely want to know what you have to share and what you have to think about all of this stuff, and I will see you in the next video.